We're back for week 6 of the podcast, and today we have a very special guest joining us. This is Tommy Ranucci from UMass Amherst. He's really interested in marathons, cooking, and a lot of different business ventures, including traveling. So we're here to learn from him. He recently finished a marathon up in Rome, so he gets after it every day, and we're really trying to follow his example.
Yeah, thank you guys for having me. So happy to be here. Pumped to get talking about, whatever you guys have in store. You guys are obviously an inspiration. Love what you guys are doing with Inspire brand and just the podcast and everything. So yeah, glad to be here. But yeah, let's kick it off, I guess.
Yeah, glad Tommy's here. But before we start, Davis bought some Inspire t-shirts.
Heck yeah.
So it's just clean. Then that's what Davis says. Davis says Inspire America, but we just want to make it broad, inspire. So whatever you're doing, just do it and have a good time doing it. So
just get after it, because when you wake up every morning and you're not sure, do I really want to do this? Do it. Today we did a 15-mile run before this. Tommy led the charge. He's getting ready for a marathon again in a couple weeks potentially. He just finished another one, and so we've got a lot of big plans, and we're excited to hear from him.
all right, so start off. Who are you, Tommy? Like who's Tommy Ranucci?
Oh man, big question. No, that's good. So just like what Davis was saying, and we were kind of talking about this on the run earlier today. After college, we're in a spot where we're trying to figure out, what we want to do. And just, I feel like a good mentality, and you guys have that mentality too, is just like staying after it, in all aspects. So like not only with work, but on the outside of work. So outside of the 9 to 5, like staying after it with exercising, keeping your diet intact, and just keeping the pedal to the metal with that stuff. So like I have that big mindset there. But yeah, beyond that, a lot of my hobbies, I love cooking. I got into cooking during COVID a lot, just because like there wasn't much to do. Just sitting around the house, there's a lot of questionable things about going out. So a lot of time in the house. Love cooking, one of my passions. So that's where I started masocooks out. Just a lot of friends and family were just like, oh, Tommy, you gotta do something with cooking. Like, you love it so much. So that kind of just inspired me right there. I'll start on Instagram, just something small. And that's all it really is. It's kind of just a passion, something I keep up with. Anytime I just have an interest to cook something, I'll try to get creative with stuff. But yeah, it's just something to do. Like, it's like, I'm sure like you guys with working out and something, it's just another thing to keep you motivated and to keep you going. But
yeah, so how did you get into cooking? Because Davis and I, we don't really cook that much.
Speak for yourself.
No, Davis chefs it up.
Let's go.
I wouldn't even consider that chefing it up. Like Tommy, Maso's Cook, like you said, it's on Instagram. We'll put it in the description. But you have a pretty big following now. What is it, like 3,000, 2,000 followers?
Yeah, it's like just under 3,000. So, and like, yeah, I'm not doing it to like grow followers or anything like that too much. It's more of just a place to express myself. Mm-hmm. Like I'll see something, and getting back to your question, like where I started cooking and stuff. Like when I was younger, growing up, middle school, even like elementary school, whatever, I love the like Food Network and the Travel Channel. So like people I looked up to growing up were like Jose Andres, Anthony Bourdain, Andrew Zimmern, just Guy
Fieri.
A little bit, little Guy
Gordon
Fieri.
Ramsay.
Yeah, Gordon Ramsay. He's up there, but yeah, no, I love those guys who weren't afraid to kind of leave their comfort zones in the chef and cooking world. Like Anthony Bourdain, for example, he was a great inspiration for me, just because he was a guy that grew up in like the gritty chef environment, not much more than that, and his writing career kind of took him to that stardom. A lot of people think that he was a great chef, but it was really his writing and his journalism that got him to that fame. And yeah, just listening to him speak, the way he can explain a different country and a different cuisine and how that affects his life, that inspired me growing up. Like I remember talking to my middle school teachers, and they thought it was funny that I watched like Anthony Bourdain, because he's kind of a real like gritty, irreverent guy. But yeah, so I guess long story short, like just watching TV got me into cooking, and of course my family too.
Are they big cooks?
yeah, so like my mom cooks. My dad's not a big cook. Like he can make cereal and stuff like that. But no, yeah. I mean, my family, my extended family, like just holiday gatherings. Everyone's always cooking.
Yeah.
So
So
that traditional.
Is that who you learned from, or did you learn from the TV shows? Like, how'd you? Like, I'm not good at cooking, but you
Yeah.
have to learn somehow.
Yeah, so I did a lot of like self-taught, just through like watching TV and just like really just seeing food and seeing the kind of breaking it down in my mind, like, okay, how did they take these ingredients and get it to look like this?
Mm-hmm.
And then kind of following along, just doing like my own research into different recipes. I love food history because that tells you a lot about how recipes come to be. Like that, the food history honestly is probably for me the biggest piece on how I learned to cook.
Okay.
Just because you learn the origins of ingredients, where they come from, their stories that they bring, the people that are behind it. Like it tells this immense story that goes way beyond just a plate of pasta or something. Which is that's the biggest interesting thing to me.
I never thought of it like that.
Yeah.
Cooking as a story.
Dude, yeah, that's what I think when it all boils down to it. Like I love seeing people's reaction when they try different food or something, but the big thing for me that gets me going is just learning about the history and the past of a plate, you know, because it speaks volumes beyond just nutrition.
That's really interesting because
Yeah.
when we see the pictures of all the different dishes you're making, they truly are artworks in and of themselves.
I appreciate that.
And when we see them, it looks like it's a lot of Italian food. I know you have some heritage there. Is that your primary ground where you work with, or are you trying to look at different cultures and mix those in too?
Yeah, that's a good question. So you definitely got that right. Like Italian's definitely my base, but people get this conception that Italian's this pretty straightforward cuisine, but it's as multifaceted as cuisines across the world. You know, you go to southern Italy, you're cooking with olive oil, grains, so pastas, lots of seafood. But then you go to northern Italy, and it's almost like German food because there's a lot of rice up there, a lot of butter. So it's two completely different cuisines. But yeah, I mean, I'm always trying to switch in different types of, you know, just living in America. So different types of ethnicities that we come across here. You know, like just around Boston, there's so many different cultural backgrounds. So there's a ton of different options for food and getting creative with stuff. So I'll always try to get creative with my stuff. But I'd say at the center of it, it's like that Italian Mediterranean vibe.
That's awesome.
Cool, yeah.
Do you have one go-to dish, a specialty? If it's bottom of the ninth and you have to hit a home run that you're bringing out.
Bottom ninth, I'm subbing up to the plate. What am I cooking?
What do you You're coming up to the plate. What are you putting there?
Like what's my favorite, or like what I like cooking the best?
Probably what you cook the best. If Anthony Bourdain is coming in, what are you gonna cook for him to show him that you're the real deal?
Oh man, I mean, I won't get too complicated with it, but I love Amatriciana, which is a Roman. It has Roman roots. That'd be my go-to because it's like, for me, it balances everything. It's got a little bit of the red sauce. It's got like a little bit of the porky kind of like the meat aspect of it, and then the fresh pecorino on top with some pepper. It's like, I love it. I love cooking it too. It's just something. Just the process of cooking it's real like. It just meshes everything together. It works out real nice.
Yes. And if it's a Roman dish, does it go way back in history to the times of the emperors, or is it a more modern dish that's come out?
That's a good question too. So the Amatriciana, it's actually from a town called Amatrice, and it's a lot of Roman dishes and a lot of Italian dishes in general have contested kind of arguable origins. But that one stems back to a specific town, and like the whole ingredient background of it. So the guanciale it's pork cheek that's used in it. So that's like from obviously local pigs that were in the area. And then tomato was just actually people think tomato like back in Roman times, Italy, but tomato was actually introduced to the old world from the new world after Columbus and after the explorers went over there. So it's kind of strange to think about tomatoes were actually in America before they were in Italy. Like you go way back. So yeah, I mean a lot of like pizza, that's only the late 1800s where that came out. So a lot of the Italian dishes are a lot younger than you think.
That's really interesting.
Yeah, it's cool.
That's really cool. So those Roman gladiators weren't filling up with pasta.
They weren't eating
sauce and they're
carbonara.
going to
Nah, they
compete.
were not. That's funny.
I guess another question for me is, like, this is your hobby right now, but do you see it going further than a hobby?
Yeah, so that's something I've obviously contemplated a lot.
Yeah.
And of course, I always joke with myself, like, I picked my passion's probably one of the most cutthroat industries to get into. I know there's some type of stat where it's like 5% of restaurants actually make it. But you know, I'm optimistic. I think right now where I'm at, I don't know if I'm ready to take that complete switch to be like, oh, let me focus completely on like food and my culinary passion. Like I still want to do like a lot of other things, and that's definitely an idea though. That's kind of, no, I wouldn't say in the works, but it's definitely down the road.
Yeah.
I want to do something with cooking for sure.
Yeah, because that is a huge risk.
It is.
Because if you go out, you can make it big, but like you said, at the same time, you can come crashing down.
Yeah, and then you're at square one again. But
yes, especially coming off the pandemic, so many restaurants and just the industry in general having major challenges. But maybe there's an opportunity to rise from the ashes.
Yeah, there always is, you know. So hey, you never know. We'll see.
Watch out. Maybe a Tommy Ranucci restaurant chain coming in the
future.
future.
Stay tuned, guys.
Yeah, we'll see. Be ready. You want fine dining.
I guess I have a tip, because I would consider myself a beginner cooker, and I don't know if anyone else is, but do you have any steps or advice for somebody that's just starting off in cooking?
Yeah, I mean, I think and this is something that's with everything, you know, just don't be scared to jump into it. I know cooking can be a little daunting, but just start cooking for yourself. Like, look up a recipe or go to masocooks. Like, try out one of mine. I put the step by step in the caption. But yeah, I mean, honestly, just don't be scared. Just look something up. I mean, if there's a food that you like and you're like, oh, I wish I could just whip this up by myself, like not have to go to a restaurant or buy it pre-made somewhere. And you get that satisfaction that you made it too, which is awesome. And you know everything that goes into it, which, I mean, I know for you guys, like diet and focus on what you guys are putting into your bodies is huge. So that's another big thing with cooking. Like, you know everything that's going into your body, which is that's really important for me. I know.
I guess one question to stem off that is, because I cooked last semester, which was the first time.
Yeah.
How do you balance the time it takes for cooking and cooking good meals? Because I found myself taking shortcuts, just cooking up ground beef and rice because it was quick.
Yeah.
It tasted all right, but it wasn't quick. I mean, it didn't take that long.
Right. Yeah, that is a balance. So I've definitely been experimenting a lot, just working from home with like how to make the best stuff real quick. Breakfast is real easy with that stuff. Just like utilizing simple ingredients that have a lot of versatility and a lot of different uses. So like oats, bananas, kind of those breakfast staples. You can do a lot with that stuff, and it's quick too. So like one of my go-tos, and my sisters and some of my like other friends joke about it because I make pancakes every Friday. So I call them Friday stacks.
Friday stacks.
So like the basis of the recipe, all it is I grind up oats. So I make like a less processed oat flour.
Yep.
And then I mash a banana up, and then I do a cup of almond milk. So it's all plant-based too, which is good for, you know, digestion. You're not using a lot of processed like carbohydrate, like all-purpose flour or something like that. And you just throw it on a blender, and you can add anything. You can add cinnamon, blueberries, different things like that. You can get creative with that, the toppings and stuff. And I'll just throw those in. I throw in like scoop of protein powder. I use a vegan pea protein powder that I've been getting into. So I throw that in. That adds a little flavor boost too. But yeah, I mean, that's just like an example of something. It's quick, and it's still really good. So
it sounds like you just gotta find what you like and then learn how to cook it quick and be healthy with it.
Absolutely.
Have that secret ingredient, that extra protein that's gonna make that pancake a little bit better and get you to the top a little bit.
A lot of people do that now. I realize, like they put protein in oatmeal. They put protein in a bunch of different meals. Is that new, or is people just?
So, I mean, I would say that protein powder has been around for a while.
Yeah.
But the part that people have to be careful about is that a lot of different brands have different stuff in the protein powder.
Yeah.
So you got to be careful with fillers and different types of additives that brands are putting in.
Yeah.
I stick to all organic plant-based proteins.
Yep.
So like a lot of pea protein, pumpkin seed protein for amino acids and different micronutrients that they hold. But yeah, I mean the easiest way to think about it is how short the ingredient list, and the shorter it is, the better.
Yeah.
That's like the simple rule of thumb. And I mean, organic is just icing on the cake at that point.
Yeah, because I read Tom Brady's book. That's
Yeah.
where it shined light on that, because he was talking about how all, like you said, all these different ingredients that you don't know what it is.
Yeah.
And then I bought his protein powder, and it's like 5 ingredients. It's also pea protein.
There you go.
So
Yeah.
that's why I bought it.
Yeah, I mean, simple. Don't overcomplicate with ingredients, especially when it comes to that stuff. I think that's huge.
Yeah. Do you take any other supplements?
No other supplements. I have a real, when it comes to nutrition, I have a very kind of holistic mindset on like fueling and just eating in general. Predominantly, it's plant-based. So like during the week, I try to stick almost all plant-based, and then like on the weekends, you know, if I'm out at a restaurant or something, sometimes it's really hard to not like, you know, you don't want to be that guy that stands out like, oh, do you guys have a vegan option? So like, of course, in those situations, like whatever, but yeah, like I'll try to stick at least like 80% plant-based diet.
Why is that?
Like so that's something I've been pretty interested in after it started actually our senior year.
Yes.
Just eating at Hamp all the time, and like,
oh yeah.
I know.
Shout out to Hamp.
Shout out to
Yeah,
Hamp.
Tommy's a member of the Hamp squad as well.
Hamp Hall of Fame right
Steve
here.
from a couple weeks
Hamp
ago,
Hall of
you know,
Fame.
we'd be down there eating really healthy foods and a big variety.
Yeah.
So thanks to UMass Dining again.
Yeah. Shout out UMass Dining. Like we would spend 3 hours there easy sometimes. Just like we'd crush workouts or something and go there after class and just chill there.
Talk, pretty much like this.
Yeah, literally just
Talking,
like this.
maybe watching a Patriots game or something for a little bit and talking about life.
Yeah. No, but yeah, getting back to that, like I started looking into more of like the plant-based diets and stuff like that when I started hearing about just more of the health implications of like meat-heavy diets.
Okay.
And you know, obviously there's pros and cons to it, and I'm
Yeah.
not gonna sit here and say like talk trash about eating meat because like I still eat meat. I'm not against it or anything, but there's definitely a lot of health benefits longevity-wise for eating more plant-based and, you know, emphasis on carbohydrates. We make carbs look like they're bad guys, but at the end of the day, they're the basic fuel our body uses. So.
Wait, could you just, because I don't know, and we have a pretty big meat diet. What are the cons for that?
So like there've been like a ton, I'm sure you've like heard of a lot of those documentaries that go into different, like, I know Forks Over Knives is one that I watched, and then that Game Changers documentary that talks about like the vegan super athletes. So like honestly, I can't bring up like a lot of like specific points, but I know there's a lot of stuff that goes into how when you still have meat and like animal products existing in your diet, like it's okay, but when it overtakes and consumes your plate, like a lot of our foods in America are, like if you think of like a hamburger, like a huge like massive steak, like you're not having a lot of other stuff on the side to supplement that. And a lot of times when you're getting food directly from the plant, when you think of it like, okay, you're eating meat's getting all their nutrients, so the cow's getting all their nutrients from the plant. So all the nutrients that you're getting from that cow is just a secondary source of nutrients from that plant. So it's just even more broken down. And yeah, there's a lot. I'm not like an expert on that, but like
I just didn't know if you had like a few points off the top of your head, but that makes sense.
Okay, here's a comparison I've got. So Bren likes to say he's better than me at golfing, which he is for now, but I'll go out and I'll play with recycled golf balls. So usually the balls, the first times you hit them, they go farther. But then if you use these recycled balls, they just don't go as far. So it's kind of like the nutrients aren't as powerful.
That's a good analogy to think of it.
It's like out of left field.
No, but it makes sense because think of us like training for running and stuff like that. When we're fueling with that recycled energy from like meat and stuff, rather than just getting it from the source, like that complete full nutrient. I think that's a cool analogy to use. Because like
energy just doesn't go as far.
Yeah, I mean, there's arguments too about plant proteins not being complete, but there's plenty of sources of plant protein that are complete. Like I know quinoa is a huge one that I eat a lot. The pea protein's complete, which is why probably TB12 uses that one.
Definitely.
Pumpkin seed protein's a complete protein, so yeah, I mean, you can definitely find ways if you're missing something from the animal diet, you can definitely find an alternative in plant-based for sure.
By combining all of them.
Yeah.
That's really cool. And do you think it's helped your training? Because Tommy's run a couple marathons now. He's the one that really got us into looking at marathons and long distance running when he did one senior year. So you have to thank him there. But how do you train and feel your body at the same time? And just what does that look like?
Yeah, that's an awesome question. I definitely want to hear you guys too, because I know you guys have been crushing it. I want to hear about your guys' like food intakes and how you guys are feeling. But yeah, I mean, I haven't been training I started training back in 2019 for my first marathon and been kind of running ever since. But yeah, I mean, I've definitely feel like very like well energized, full of energy when I'm running. So yeah, I mean, I think the biggest thing for me is just making sure the day before I get enough fuel in and, getting good rest. But I have a question for you guys. Like, I've been experimenting with intermittent fasting. I don't know about if you guys know anything about that, but like, what's your guys' take on that?
I was going to ask you that question actually next. I was going to talk about intermittent fasting because we were talking about it on one of the runs. I like it.
Yeah.
But for everyone who doesn't really know, intermittent fasting is pretty much a diet plan where you eat 2 big meals a day and you don't start until later in the day. So you pretty much cut out breakfast, you eat a lunch sometime between maybe 11 in the morning and 1 in the afternoon, and then you eat a dinner, but still on the earlier side, probably somewhere around 6 o'clock at night. And the theory behind it is you eat in about an 8-hour time block, and the rest of the time you burn off that fuel, and by the time you get to the meal the next day, then you're fueling on an empty gas tank. So you're getting the most efficiency out of the food you're taking in. And I know I'm a similar diet scheme most of the time, where usually I'll work out before I eat. A lot of times with work, if I'm starting work at 8 a.m. in the morning, I have to eat too early, so I have to start at like 7 a.m. But if it's a weekend like today, I mean, it's 12 o'clock, and I haven't eaten any food yet because we went for a nice long run, just under 2 hours, and then still just using the regular energy that I have to burn it off. I like it a lot. Like you're saying, I still feel great now, not out of energy, but I'll probably just eat 2 bigger meals and then be ready for the next day.
I mean, I wouldn't even consider that intermittent fasting. The biggest thing, I mean, I don't eat before I work out, especially running, because like digestive. Like if you eat too much and you go run, it's not good. Like, I'll tell you right now, if you're running 15 miles, do not eat before you run because you'll cramp. You'll have to go to the bathroom. It's not good. So that's probably the main reason why you don't eat before you work out.
That's another reason.
And also you wake up so early. So Davis wakes up at 5 a.m. He's not going to be eating breakfast before he works out. But Davis eats a ton. I mean, I've seen people do the intermittent fasting. I've never believed in it. I don't see it. I just try. I eat when I'm hungry.
Yeah, and, that's another thing. Like just listen to your body.
Yeah,
that's like another good method.
Right. And like I'm very similar to you, Dave. So like I haven't eaten yet today either, and that's kind of what I do. So even during the work week and the weekends, I probably won't eat my first meal till 11 noon or so. But then, different to yours, I'll just eat kind of continuously for 8 hours. But then I still have that 15, 16 hour time period where my body's just burning that fuel up. And then by the time morning comes and I'm working out, because I'm always working out in the morning like you guys too. Yes. So like you're just going off that fuel from the day before, and your body just learns to stay energized too. Like right now I feel full of energy. I haven't probably eaten in 12, 13 hours, right?
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I'm a fan of it. Like I'm a good proponent. I think for people that want to lose weight and they're comfortable getting into that kind of habit, I think that would be a good alternative rather than just trying to cut down calories and going that route. Just because, when you think of it, when your body's working out after 12 hours of not eating, it's burning those fat stores that your body has as fuel. Because it's like, all right, what else am I going to use? So it goes after that fat next, after the carbohydrate.
we've seen the proof. I mean, some of our friends have lost 50 plus pounds off
yeah.
intermittent fasting. It's unbelievable to see it in play.
It's cool. It's definitely interesting. I mean, and going back to like the vegan versus eating meat, it's not like one. There's no secret sauce. Like there's not one way to do everything right. You know, it's for me at least. It's more just experimenting. Like the vegan mindset interests me. There were obviously enough points to convince me that it was worth trying out, and like I've stuck with it. Like I'm not gonna sit here and say I'm a vegan because like I definitely eat meat and like animal products like a lot, but like I've definitely noticed over the past couple of years I've probably limited my meat from being 50% of my diet. It's probably 15% or so of my diet now. You know,
That's so cool.
Yeah.
What are some of the staples? Because you were talking about carbs, and one of the foods that we both eat a lot in common is oatmeal, and then also grape nuts, which is great for endurance running. So those are two carb-heavy foods, oats, and then a cereal. What do you like about those, and how much will you eat a day?
Yeah, no, that's grape nuts. I'm telling you, grape nuts are the secret ingredient to any super athlete or whatever. I'm sure they're eating grape nuts because I'm trying to follow. Like Davis was just telling me he had 5 bowls of it the other day for lunch.
Yeah, that was lunch yesterday. 5 bowls of grape nuts after biking for a while. It just fuels you up and it fills you with iron so you can get oxygen to your muscles.
Yeah, I mean that's the biggest thing. It's a fortified food, so it's not organic. But like then again, there's some give and take there because it has a lot of good essential nutrients, especially for endurance training.
Yes.
So it's one of those quick things that if you just throw a bowl together, I think a half cup of grape nuts has 90% of your daily value of iron.
Spot on. I looked it up.
Yeah, it's like 16.2 milligrams, which you need 18 milligrams a day on average. But especially when you're training for running and biking, swimming, like you should be 200 to 300% of your daily value of iron intake. But yeah, oats, huge fan of oats. You know, my staple in the morning for breakfast is just oats, mash a banana, scoop of that, my pea protein powder in there. I'll throw like cinnamon in, I'll get creative and do a bunch of different stuff to mix it in, fruits. But yeah, that's like my go-to every morning, like 11, 12 o'clock, I'll have that. But yeah, I mean, it's just, going back to like getting enough nutrients and stuff, oats is such a complete source of not only carbohydrate, it's got a good amount of fat as far as grains go. Yeah, oats store a lot of fat. They have a good amount of protein too. It's an awesome food. So big fan of it. I know you are too.
Oh yeah, all the time. Crazy. Maybe a little bit too much, but it definitely gets the job done, and maybe that's the reason we're so fueled up after that.
Yeah, there you go.
Do you eat any junk food? Like my biggest thing is my sweet tooth is for ice cream, and I find myself just eating half a quart just on a night just because I like it so much. Do you have anything like that, or do you stay away from all that type of food?
So yeah, there's give and take there. Like obviously there's a time and place for your junk food and just satisfying that sweet tooth. I'm the same way. Like ice cream is definitely my weakness, but like there's ways around it. So my mom, she's always giving me a hard time. She's like, you have such good willpower. Like just random nights of the week, I won't have like dessert or whatever. But like there's I'm sure you guys have heard of all those brands of ice cream that are going in that healthy direction.
Yeah.
So there's a brand that I've been having. It's called Nix.
Okay.
It's a Swedish ice cream.
All right.
So they do essentially the same process. They actually have a vegan version, which is pretty good. I've had that a lot too. But their process, it's the same with Halo Top and a lot of the low calorie ice cream. Yeah, so they essentially do the same process of making ice cream, except instead of using like heavy butter fat and cream to make the ice cream, they'll just do it with skim milk. And Nick actually has a technology that they started off in Europe, and it sounds not good for you. It's like a modified vegetable oil, but the way that they designed it or whatever, it actually goes through your body without your body processing it too much.
Okay.
So you still get that texture and taste of like a full fat ice cream, but your body doesn't process it. And you know, it's early stages, so I'm not going to sit here and say like it's like a certified like good thing, but from what they've tested so far, from like a health perspective, it's good
Yeah.
for you, you know. But again, who knows? Like that could change. Like something could come out. But
Yeah,
I mean,
no
that's
research.
just being. We're just.
Hey, maybe it's a possible investment idea because one of the big things about ice cream is if you look on the food label, it's high in saturated fats.
Yeah.
So they can get some unsaturated fats in there. Could be a game changer.
Definitely. And that's, I mean, yeah, that's the big thing because everyone's worried about like, oh, junk food. I want to, it's like all those excess empty calories, but there's definitely, that's something that I try to, find out. There's those balances of finding those foods that are still good for you, but kind of still passes being like sweet or junky or whatever.
The holistic approach.
Yeah, it's all about
the
the holistic approach.
Another thing TB12 was talking about.
Yep.
TB12, the goat.
Yeah. But yeah, no, there's tons of foods out there, like not only good for you, but they taste good, and like you can sub them for different things. I love dates, super sweet, just full fiber, so like they have that balance for you. But yeah, like snacking on dates if you have a sweet craving, those are good. Of course, it's not like an Oreo because nothing beats that. But no,
natural sugars.
Heck, when you're running and training like crazy, I mean, I know a lot of those crazy endurance athletes, they'll throw any type of junk food in just to get the high calorie.
Yeah, we talk about Michael Phelps all the time.
Yeah,
because we don't know too much about, but I suppose he was just trying to eat calories as many calories as he could when he was training.
Yeah.
I guess another stem off diet is your hydration. Are you drinking electrolytes, or are you just drinking water, and how much water?
So yeah, no, good question there. So yeah, hydration is so important. Like, during the week, like I'll just drink water, water and tea. I'm weird. A lot of people think I'm weird for not drinking coffee during the week.
Okay.
I actually drink it just on the weekend, so like Friday through Sunday, just as kind of like an enjoyment. I usually just drink it black.
Okay.
But I mean, diuretic. But again, you're not drinking too much of it, so it's not too much of a problem. But yeah, mostly just water. A lot of water. Again, tea before bed. Caffeine free, so like chamomile and herbal teas, stuff like that.
Yeah, because there's a big emphasis on hydration now, especially the electrolytes. That's just what I've seen. Everyone's saying, "Oh, you need electrolytes. You need electrolytes." That. So I've been drinking a lot of Pedialyte. I don't know if you know what that stuff is.
Yeah, I've heard of it for kids drinking it like after going out.
Yeah.
For like, what's it called? Like hangover cure.
Yeah.
Hydration when you need
it. It has a ton of salt electrolytes. I drink it after working out.
Yeah, I mean that's good. Like that has everything you need in it. I feel like after a workout, I would drink something like that. Like if it's around or whatever. But yeah, like I like trying to find electrolytes in like foods too. So like bananas have a ton, just like fruits, all that stuff. Nuts.
Yes. Yeah. Because we just ran 15 miles. We didn't drink any water during the run or anything. Just when we got back, no water.
I find that crazy because when I go those longer distance, my body starts to break down.
Yeah.
And I need fluid.
Yes.
That's just me, I guess.
Yeah, it's not that hot out today.
That's true.
Definitely helps.
Yeah, the heat's a huge factor for running for me.
Yeah.
I mean, just personally, like if it's a hot day, that'll cut me down. As opposed to if it's a day like this, overcast, pretty decent. Yeah.
How'd you get into running? Because a lot of people don't like to get into like, oh, running this, running that. I have the background from cross country. Davis has always been a good runner. So, did you run back in the day?
Yeah, no. So my dad's always been a huge runner, and I'd say that's like the root of my like running interest and everything. Because him growing up, his like athletics were around running.
Okay.
Like he grew up in Boston and Brighton, so the big event for them obviously was the Boston Marathon.
Yeah.
So something that he would do when he was around our age, he would just run the marathon. That was like the cool thing to do. You just go out, you take a bus out to Hawkinton. I mean, back then it was nothing like it was now. Like they just give you a bib. They had tons of bandit runners that just ran without bibs.
Yeah.
So like he'd go out there with his buddies. They just start running. Like they didn't have any of these watches, nothing.
Yeah.
And he stuck with it. Like he would do 5Ks a ton. So I would do 5Ks growing up. Just like with my dad, my sisters would do them sometimes. Mm-hmm. So we had that kind of running culture, I guess. Nothing intense, but yeah, we definitely stepped it up a little bit in the past couple of years. So like I definitely got into it a lot more.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's kind of how I started. I mean, you were nasty cross country in high school.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, I wouldn't say nasty, but I was
yeah,
pretty
you
good.
were.
Compared to us, you're even faster than we are
That's
now.
because you guys didn't do it back then. But,
Yeah,
We're
yeah, I
busy
was-
playing football. Tommy's
Yeah.
beating up on all the teams in high school
Oh,
football.
yeah.
Oh, yeah.
high school football. But yeah, I mean, yeah, I did in high school. I hated it. I hated running because it's such a mental strain.
Yeah.
In order to do well, you have to push yourself to your absolute limit, where your body's telling you to stop, or your mind's telling you to stop at least. And I was mentally weak back then,
Yeah.
but I was a kid,
Right.
and now we got the Inspired T-shirts, so I'm back at it.
Yes.
The first time I remember with Tommy, do you remember that?
Yeah.
Your senior year.
Oh, yeah.
So
That's a story.
I don't know where we were.
It's like
Tom-
November 4th,
Yeah.
2018. I know the exact day.
Tommy's like, yeah, anyone want to run 10 miles? I was like, sure. I hadn't run at all. I wasn't out of shape, but I had not running shape. Tommy kicked my butt. We got up at like
No,
6 a.m.,
no.
7 a.m.
We were up early.
Cranked out 10 miles, and I just went back to my dorm and just passed out.
Yeah. No, that was good though,
That was
because like
fun.
that's
Those
all
are
it
fun.
takes. Like it's all like, and with everything in life, you're not just gonna segue into something and just be super comfortable.
Yeah.
There's always gonna be that period of time where it's gonna be tough. I know it was for me. Like training for a marathon my senior year of college, that was pretty brutal because like, we'd go out the night before, and then the morning after, it'd always be in the back of your head. Shoot, I gotta run 12 miles tomorrow.
Yeah.
But like, and going back to what you were talking about with like the mental and liking what you're doing.
Yeah.
I think it becomes so much easier when you find a way to do something in a way that you also enjoy it.
Okay.
So, like, I know training and running with you guys, like, I look forward to it because I'm like, oh, yeah, like, we'll just go
It's
crush
so
some
much fun.
miles. We'll have some conversations while we're running. Like,
Fun to just talk about things.
Yeah.
See where life's going.
exactly. Like, it's almost like a social aspect. I look at it now.
Yeah.
Like, when you guys run, like, by yourselves or whatever, do you guys use music? Like, how do you guys stay motivated when you're running?
For me, it depends. Like, if I'm going more than 10 miles, I guess if it's an easy run, I'll listen to music. If I'm doing a track workout, I won't. But any run where I'm just going out cruising, I'll just listen to music. I think of it like in the car, I listen to music. So
Yeah.
I'm just growing, so I might as well turn on some country music and
Yeah.
put my mind somewhere else. Some people listen to podcasts. I try to do that, but it's hard for me to think about the podcast or the audiobook and then also tell my mind to get mentally tough at the same time. I don't know.
Okay,
It's hard
yeah.
for me to balance that. So I just like music in the background.
Yeah.
I don't really listen to music. If I'm outside like we were today, I mean, I'm just cruising along, having fun, looking around. You
Yeah.
might run into a lot of people outside and you get to say hi, see what they're up to.
Yeah.
But if I'm on the treadmill, then I'll watch some TV shows, listen to music, and crank it up. And then really just get it going. Just try to stay occupied when you're in the same spot.
Yeah, I remember you do that at UMass. You would
Yeah.
just rip out Netflix and just crank shows
Yes.
like 3 hours on the bike, just watching series. And
Yeah,
stuff.
and you just go through it. You can watch things. You can learn about the world around you, or just catch up on some movies. Better than binge watching, I guess. You get exercise at the same
hey.
time. Still get to watch your shows, even if it's 3 hours, like Tommy's saying.
Right.
That's a good call.
How bad?
You got a marathon coming up, right? Or is that official?
I'm thinking about it. Yeah, I'm thinking about it on Halloween, so we'll see. But still in the books. We'll see.
Yes, because I think one cool thing that you do with your marathons is you mix in another one of your passions of traveling.
Yeah.
Tommy has run a couple marathons over in Rome. I mean, he doesn't even worry about the time difference. He just gets after it. He finishes that marathon, and so while other people might be sitting around saying, "Oh, the time's different," I mean, I would be probably off cycle, but Tommy just goes beast mode and cranks them out.
He finishes the marathon and gets himself a gelato.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Every time now.
You get to see the family over there as well, which sounds really cool.
Yeah, no, that was an unbelievable experience. I mean, going over there, we actually have a relative. I was telling you earlier.
Oh, yeah.
He's 72, and he runs the Rome Marathon every year, and he's an absolute animal. Like, he was telling me so many cool life lessons and different tricks for running, and it really extended beyond running, just life in general.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was the highlight of that trip was by far and none just seeing family and just talking with them, and you know, just really pushing along our relationship, because it started about a couple years back where we first met them when I studied abroad.
Yeah.
And it's just gotten better and better since. You know, we've grown closer, and it's just such a special thing that we have with them over there. But yeah, the going over there running the marathon, there is this kind of cult following of people that run marathons and they use it as an excuse to travel. So I was just, shooting the breeze with a guy before the Rome Marathon a couple weeks ago, and he had a Boston jacket on from the Boston Marathon.
Yeah.
He's like, hey, you ran Boston, and he just starts talking. He's like, yeah, so I've ran Boston and many more. This is actually going to be my 485th marathon.
Wow.
And at first I'm like, is this guy for real? But he kept talking. He's like, I don't work, I just run. Like, he's at that stage in his life. He's probably, financially free where he can do that. He was old. I'd want to say in his 60s, but he said he was going to Berlin the next week to do a marathon there.
Yeah.
And he said all he does, he just travels and runs, and that's how he experiences life, which is pretty unbelievable.
Yeah.
It's a cool way to live.
Yeah.
That's neat.
It's a great way to see the city, too.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
Yeah.
If you're running 26 miles around some of these cities, you're covering a lot of the streets. You're seeing maybe some back alleys and just hidden gems.
Yeah, you can uncover a whole city just in a few hours. It's pretty incredible. Yeah.
Some of the most historical ones. I mean, I can't imagine Rome Marathon. I mean, you're going past some of the oldest history that we can really see on display in an urban area. It's crazy.
Yeah, it's awesome. Starts and ends at the Coliseum. So you're just running all through the different, the different monuments and all the history of the city, and you're also running through newer parts of the city too that you wouldn't really expect Rome to look like, but it's all there. It's all part of the city. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, I guess this is kind of off topic. But
Yeah.
Are you a goal setter, or like where do you see how do you look in the future? Because we're all at that age where it's in the 20s, where it's so critical, in my opinion, of doing things and making sure you're on the right path.
Yeah, no, I mean that's an awesome question. Just because you're right, that's something that it's obvious on everyone's mind. Like, what's next for me? Like, what am I striving to do? And that can bring out a lot of stress in people too.
Yeah.
I know it does in me. Like, what am I going to be doing a year from now, 3 years from now? How am I going to get there if I even know what I'm doing?
Yeah.
And a lot of times I don't know what I'm doing. But the way I try to kind of find like solace and a kind of peace of mind with that is kind of just taking it easy and taking it day by day.
Okay.
So I'll have goals in the back of mind and things that I want to do, and I'll kind of just set out and see, like, what can I do today to get me closer to doing that, even if it's just something small. Like, what small step can I take to get there? So say if it's a new job, or like say you want to move around jobs or something like that. Okay, like what can I do right now to set up, to get to that spot?
Yeah.
It could be as simple as like just doing some research. Like, what are other people doing? Like, what industries do I like? And I'm just using job as an example.
Yeah, it could be anything.
It could be anything. Like,
travel.
Yeah,
See where you might want to go if you don't know.
Yeah, that's a great one. So say, we could use that as an example. Like, where do I want to go next in the world? Like, say I want to go to Australia. It's like, all right, what can I do today to kind of like get that going? Like I could read some articles on Sydney or what's going on in Melbourne.
Brisbane.
Like Brisbane. Like, how's the barrier reef doing? Like, is it still dying day by day? Like, stuff like that. Like, just little stuff. But yeah, I think taking it day by day for me it's just more underwhelming, and it doesn't overwhelm you with trying to take on and like setting specific goals. Okay. So like if I set a goal and I say, okay, by this time, like I need to be doing this, stuff like that stresses me out.
Yeah.
Like that's just my mindset though. A lot of people could look at that and be like, I need to have that like definite goal set.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, just, taking it easy, going with the flow, but still having that like passionate, like aggressiveness with trying to get there.
Yeah. That's awesome.
Yeah.
I feel like we all have similar mindsets, like you were saying at the very beginning about pushing yourself, grinding. Where's the origin of your mindset? Was it from your family, or is there people that you look up to that created this mindset, or just natural?
Man, I don't know. That's
a good one.
That's good, dude. You're
question.
asking the deep questions. Damn. I think I'm a very like individual focused. So like, of course, there's tons of outside influences, but I think end of the day, it boils down to you. So I think the whole mindset thing is something that you have to develop and grow internally.
Yeah.
And of course, external forces are going to factor in, but yeah, end of the day, I think it's more of a, just you, yourself, and me, myself, and I was going to kind of push you as a mindset perspective.
Were there a few catalyst points throughout your life that led you to this direction? Because for me, I mean, playing sports also creates that mindset because there's the competitive aspect where if you don't train in the off season, you can get cut from varsity. But then also I started reading a lot, and the books just opened my mind to all this stuff.
Yeah.
So I don't know if any books that you have, any recommendations, because I'm always looking for book recommendations.
I know you have some good book recommendations. For me, my reading recently, I was telling Davis, reading a lot of like more travel books and just like I was reading Anthony Bourdain. I'm always reading him.
I gotta look this guy up.
He's good. He's good. He's one of those guys where like if you don't know him, you don't know him. But if you know him, like he's just such a character and such a personality.
Yeah.
Just a genius as far as how he writes and how he portrays himself in books and also with his voice. But yeah, so I was reading him recently. I started poking out with David Goggins after you were telling me.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. What's like your number one book recommendation right now?
I mean, I have a few, but the one that completely changed my mindset was "Can't Hurt Me" by David Goggins.
Okay.
Because that just made me realize I could be working a lot harder than I was. I thought I was a hard worker, but I was really a hard worker in the moment.
Yeah.
Where that's not enough. You got to do it, like you said, day by day by day, because it just builds up. And that led to another book I just read recently called Atomic Habits.
Okay.
I don't know if you've read that, but that's also about mindset, just getting a little bit better each day. I just read a book called Defining Decade, which is all about your 20s. That was a great book.
Who wrote that?
I believe her name's Meg Jay. She's a psychologist.
Okay.
But it talks about how your work, your love life, your fitness all in your 20s are so important for your 30s and 40s. And if you waste your 20s, it's just going to create problems down the road.
Yeah.
So you got to do it now, so then in the future you can set up that life. But you can still have fun, but it's just things to think about so you're not wasting time that then you have to deal with later in your 30s or 40s.
Yeah, I mean, and that stems right on what we were talking about, like just having those habits in place. And I know your dad was just telling us earlier, like the people that are living these wicked long lives and have this immense longevity that, they're 90 years old. And the big difference to go back to what he was talking about, those smaller Mediterranean towns, the 70-year-olds are working just as hard as the 20-year-olds. And it's really just a mindset thing, right? Because you can act like age is this inhibitor that's going to deter you from doing your job and staying physical and, all that. But if you just cut that out of your mindset and cut that out of your mentality, I mean, my great-grandfather was 90 years old laying roof work, which is one of the hardest, it's one of the most laborious jobs you can, like right now, I couldn't do that. Are you kidding me?
Bring up some shingle.
You could if you had to.
Yeah,
I could.
That's the mindset.
You're right. No, I was just hyping up my great-grandpa. I knew I could do that. I was just typing him up.
If we have to.
No, I mean, it's...
And we do this experiment one weekend, do a little home improvement project, lay some roof, get a workout in.
Yeah, why not?
I mean, working out is a strain too. But it's mindset. I agree with you 100%. But it's also taking care of your body too in order to allow yourself to do those things.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a holistic approach. But I agree. Mindset is huge.
Mm-hmm.
I wrote my senior thesis on mindset.
Really?
Yeah.
Yep.
What did that go into? Like, where'd you take that?
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't the best because I mean, writing a thesis paper is pretty hard.
Yeah.
And I like the idea of mindset, but then trying to find all the research to back it up.
Okay.
I found hard just because you have to put a ton of time.
Yeah.
But I kind of derived that if you have the right resources and then the right mindset, no matter where you're from, you can make it.
Yeah.
You just have to have the right amount of like the people surrounding you. That's a big thing. Environment. But even if you have nothing, if you have the right mindset, you can go places. Right. It comes down to the mindset. But I say that, but it's like, where am I? So I mean, I have all these.
It's a process, though.
Like
that's part of it. It's all a process. Like you're not just gonna wake up one day and be like, oh, like I'm where I'm at. Like that's where luck gets factored in, because of course there's luck, but I think with the whole mindset piece, like you have the ability to really do whatever you want to set your mind out to.
Yeah.
And that's all it boils down to.
Yes. We've had this debate though a lot too, because then it's like, where do genetics come into play?
Yeah.
And then where do mindset? Like people can say, yeah, if you put your mind to this, you can get it. But we always refer back to this, but if you're like 5'5", there's no way you're going to the NBA, most likely.
Yeah. Hey, tell that to Muggsy Bogues.
Muggsy Bogues,
All right.
Spud Webb,
Yeah,
Nate
Spud Webb,
Robinson.
yeah.
But I guess you have to have a.
It's
realistic.
just a lot smaller
Yeah,
odds,
it's
your
small
odds are stacked
probabilities.
against you.
Yeah, but that brings up to what Steve brought up, which is still in my head, is that when you're goal setting, you think, if I don't hit this goal, will I be happy with what I've done?
If you don't hit this
Yeah.
goal, okay.
Like, let's say, I want to make it to the NBA. I mean, that's a hefty goal. But if,
Yeah.
let's say, you get to that point where it's not going to happen, and you look back on those 10 years you put into it, and you're like, wow, I'm proud with what I did. It's okay that I didn't make it.
Right.
Then that's a good goal. But if you look back and you're like, that was a waste of my time, then that probably wasn't the best goal.
Yeah.
I don't know, that's what he said.
Steve's got some good.
Yeah,
he's got some good
takes,
stuff.
going
He's
back
got
to the
some
ham
good.
days.
Yeah. He's got some stuff that he says where it's like, this kid's got some stuff in that brain. Like, you know,
Yeah, it just
Like,
makes you think.
he's a smart kid, and he's definitely got his stuff together.
He's got the
for sure.
results to show it. And I
Yeah.
think, like Tommy's saying about longevity, you're never going to be like, oh, I'm done. I think until the day you die, you're just a natural human being. You're going to be looking for something more and something better every day.
Yeah, that's the biggest thing is people say, I'll be happy when I get here, like when this happens. But then you hear it time and time again. Like, I get to that highest point, and it's like, oh, that's it.
That's why you got to enjoy the ride.
Yeah,
It's the most, like,
Every
the
day.
destination, a little cliche, but it's all about the journey, not when you arrive.
Yeah.
And for me personally with running, that was huge. So I remember training for my first marathon when we were at UMass.
Yeah.
Every time when I set out on a run, it was always like, oh, I can't wait to end.
Yeah.
But now I'm trying to change my mindset to be like, oh, I'm enjoying this run. Like, beautiful fall day,
Trees.
foliage is changing, like, gorgeous run, just running out with some friends. Like, what's better than that?
Yeah,
On
you
Sunday
said that on
morning.
the run today. We were
Yeah.
in the middle of the fells in the woods, and we're going over like a land bridge with water on both sides.
What's
trees.
better than that? You know?
I agree. And you just, because if I'm still tackling with the idea in my head, but it's like college was so long ago, but it seems like it was just
I mean, it was
yesterday.
just 2 years
Yeah.
ago for me, and
It
you
was,
just
less
you were
than a
No,
year.
I'm
less than a
talking
year.
about when you guys were there.
Oh,
Oh,
okay,
yeah,
yeah.
Like when we used to have these ham talks where those were awesome, but they were so long ago. So like this moment, bad or good, is gonna pass no matter what. So
Oh,
you might
yeah.
as well enjoy it.
Yeah,
This'll make it
exactly.
fun.
Exactly. You gotta enjoy everything, but again, like a little stoic mindset.
I love stoicism.
I've that's another like mindset change I've made in the past few years. Just not seeing anything as too good or too bad.
Yep.
Just having everything in that kind of picture of this is just life, and you can look at stuff as bad or good, or you can just kind of look at it as that's how it is.
Yeah.
And I think that helps a lot with what you were talking about with if I don't achieve my goal 10 years from now,
Yeah.
will I look back and be disappointed? If you have that stoic mindset where you're not riding highs too high,
Yeah.
or you're not sulking on lows too much, and you're just in that equilibrium, that balance.
Yeah.
I mean, I think you'll be set.
Yeah.
And like that goes for dieting too. Like diet, running, anything. If you're eating terribly too much, then like it's gonna show. But if you're balancing everything and having stuff in moderation, and there's a lot to say about that whole yin and yang thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's another cool topic to dive into for sure.
That's really good stuff. What do we think? Do we have any big news? Anything we want to end it with? Tommy, you have any surprises? Any big plans?
I have stuff in the works.
Okay.
We might have to. I don't know if I can announce just yet, but yeah,
Okay.
there's a plan. There's a plan in the works. You guys will hopefully see it like in the next few months or so. But
Heck
Oh, yeah.
We might have to have Tommy on for part 2 after this.
yeah,
Big surprise. And see
we
where
might.
we're
We
at.
might. When we can discuss. That could be another topic because if all goes well with this, then yeah, that could be a cool topic to have on another podcast.
Tommy's an absolute legend.
So, yeah.
We'll see if he gears up for the marathon in a couple weeks. I might have to try it too. We'll see how everyone's feeling.
He's got an ultra next week that we didn't even bring up, but this
Yeah.
kid's shooting to run 50 miles next week, which is just incredible.
We'll see how
I mean,
far
talk
I
about a
can run.
mindset.
Yes. Yeah, we're going to find out. It should be fun. just go out there and push it. And then if I can recover in time, I'll rip the marathon with Tommy.
Unbelievable.
And
Still
if
after.
not, we'll all be at homecoming.
Yeah,
Having some
UMass.
beers, having a good time back at the old stomping grounds.
absolutely.
Uh,
Get
yeah,
back
Maybe
out.
we'll have a hamp talk from there.
yeah, we'll see.
Yeah, we could.
Yeah.
That could be a good little ambiance, the
Yeah.
dining hall for a podcast.
Yeah.
Might be a little loud, but it's all right.
We can get that little room where it's kind of glass. and
True.
Yeah.
hanging off.
Rent it out.
Yeah.
Well, that was awesome. Thanks.
Let's
thanks
go.
for
That was
having
fun.
me.
That
Thank you
was
guys
more
for
than
having
us.
me.
Let's
This
go.
was
Let's go.
awesome. Thank you
Tommy
guys.
the Beast.
Let's go.